you take your seat, tell somebody God has authority over it all. Come on, type that in on East City. God has authority over it all. I want to minister to people, and I hope this will encourage the house. I'm grateful for visitors, members, partners that are here today. I think we live in a culture right now where there's just a lot coming at us. You ever felt like that? I mean, you ever had that? If it's not one thing, yeah. It's a lot coming at us, Shoshanda. Day by day, there's another hurdle we have to get over. And those hurdles, those things coming at us can be family issues. They could be money issues. I mean, gas prices, inflation. It's a lot coming at us. And what I want to encourage everyone in this room is that regardless of what's coming at you, we have a God who has authority over it all. I was teaching our ministers yesterday on how to bridge from text idea to sermon idea. And the text idea here is clear, that Jesus has authority over sickness and over sin. I was preparing this message and I said, Lord, I'm going to say, because that's the idea of the text, that you have authority over sickness and sin. And the Lord said back to me, but somebody going to say, well, why my mama died? Why did my daddy die? Can I minister to you and hope you get this? God has authority over every sickness. Watch this. And God will heal you over every sickness except your last one. Y'all missed it. Anybody here ever had a common cold? Anybody here ever had COVID? You know why you still alive? Because he healed you over that sickness. So I don't want us ever to lose doubt that God is a God who has authority over sin and over sickness. We know this man in the text. This man in the text is referred to both in Mark chapter 2 and Luke chapter 5. This is the man that as Jesus is preaching in the home of Peter, this is the same man that 4 of his friends break through the roof, drop him down in the midst of it, and Jesus sees his condition and heals him. Jesus has been in town casting out demons. Jesus has been in town healing diseases of every sort. As a matter of fact, in Mark chapter 1, we are told that Jesus pretty much heals everybody in town. He's healing people after people. But the problem is, while he is on this major preaching and healing revival in Capernaum, the people in Capernaum got into trouble. Pastor, why did they get into trouble? They got into trouble because they became more interested in the miracles of Jesus than they did the message of Jesus. They got into trouble because they were interested in the spectacular and they weren't interested in salvation. I want to drop anchor for a moment, y'all, because I believe the Lord has us in a different season. Everybody say a different season. See, God takes you through different seasons, Alcina. Sometimes he takes you to a season where everything is spectacular and everything is wonderful and you're always winning and everything is like you want it. But I think God is taking us through a different season. And the different season that God is taking us through is that God now has us in a season of sacrifice. Everybody say sacrifice. See, I don't get a whole lot of amens for preaching like that, because there are moments in our life, y'all, where we think God is just going to move and I really don't have to do anything. But can I tell you what God is doing in this season, Stephanie? We're in a season of God revealing and removing. And if I don't have a spirit of sacrifice, God is not going to move. And I believe God is moving in a place in such a way that for my sons and daughters who have sacrifice, I'm going to move on their behalf. It's not just a season of sacrifice, but God is saying this is not a season of stardom. This is a season of service. Okay, y'all not there yet. This is not a season of the sensational. This is a season of stewardship. This is not a season of me getting my way. This is a season of selflessness. This is not the season. I'm going to keep on it until I get there. I don't have a whole lot of monitor, so if y'all can help me out. This is not a season of spotlight. This is a season of sincerity. Y'all didn't catch it, so let me help y'all get there. God is saying, y'all, all the times I might have shown up and I want to have all the spotlight and I want to have all of the everything, all the trappings of things looking good. God is saying, I'm trying to settle my folk in and recognize you better be concerned not just about the miracle, but be concerned about the message. Don't just be concerned about the lights being on, but be concerned about knowing he who... Y'all, too often times we come to church looking for sensational. God is saying in this season, we don't need sensational. We need some folk to sacrifice. We need some good stewardship. And I'm about to minister to somebody. When you recognize what really matters and you put the things that are important to God in right priority, then suddenly the thing you've been asking for and wanting and desiring, God has a way of showing up and providing it for you. Oh, God. Jesus and the men are in Capernaum. According to the scriptures, they are in Peter's house. They enter the town, and I love this. They don't have any fanfare. They don't have any parade. They just show up with people with a right heart. And they show up while Jesus is teaching, drops this man in front of him, and Jesus pumps the brakes, stops what he's preaching, and says, you matter so much to me that I'm going to see about you before I see about everybody else. I want to minister to somebody whose life has made you feel worthless, whose life has made you feel insignificant, whose life has made you feel like you're not worth the sacrifice. You are so valuable and you have so much worth to God that God will pump the brakes and stop. That if you were the only person on earth, he would have still sent Jesus to die on your behalf. Tell your neighbor, I've got value. This is the value, the lesson, Kara, in one life. And in the midst of this, Jesus, Kara, shows his authority over sickness and sin. Shows that he has all authority over everything you're going to deal with. But the problem is, just because he has authority does not mean he always displays it. Just because he has power doesn't mean he always displays it. So the issue becomes, what does it look like for God to show up and display his authority and his power in somebody's life? And maybe I'm missing it, y'all, but I'm getting too old to come to church every Sunday and then go over to Tarboro and God not show up with power and authority. I want God showing up with power and authority. I want him walking heavy in your lap. I want him showing up in your house and in your body and in your marriage and in your... Anybody here ready for God to show up with power and authority? He has power and authority over everything. I love how Nataki started her video. I'm not a victim. And some of us need to get that in your spirit. Stop walking around life like, oh, woe is me. I'm pitiful. I don't know what I'm going to do for myself. Do you know who your daddy is? You are a child of God. You are a child of a God that stepped out on nothing and spoke everything into existence. You know who? Look at your neighbor to ask him, don't you know who my daddy is? Your daddy is not broke. Your daddy is not stupid. Your daddy is not unaware. Your daddy is not aloft. Your daddy has more power and more authority than anything else in this world. Woo, God. So what? So what? And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. So what? You didn't have what everybody else has. You got God now. So what? I didn't start with what you started with. I got God now. So what? I don't have the money you have. I got God now. And because I have him now, I can do all things through him that give me strength. Oh, God. So this man shows up. And as this man shows up with his friends, the power of God is released. And it shows us how the power of God gets released in people's lives. And I want to submit to you these three things that he does, these three things that he shows us. The first thing this text teaches us is that if God is going to show his authority over everything I've got going on in my life, Tristan, first of all, I need cultivation. Everybody say cultivation. Well, where is that in the text? I'm glad y'all asked me. Getting in the boat, he crossed over, came to his own city. And behold, some people, everybody say, brought to him. Come on, tell your other neighbor, brought to him. Let me tell you what that means. Where he was not able to cultivate him to the point of getting him to a better place. I'm about to speak to somebody's life. You wondering why I'm not getting better and why there's not a breakthrough in my life and why I don't have more joy and why I'm not in a better place. It's because you won't leave the place that's holding you back and holding you down. Sometimes I need to get into a sphere and an environment to be cultivated to do. That's why some of us about to graduate from D4 to D3 program. Because if you want to get set free from something, oh God, I feel somebody. If you want to get set free from anything, you got to get in an environment that has that yoke breaking capacity. You got to get in an environment that knows how to pull down strongholds. You got to get in an environment. Your marriage not going to get better without going to counseling. I don't have help in here. You spend all that money on the honeymoon, been married 10 years. And look, if y'all been here, been married 10 years, I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. So don't email me about this, all right? But you've been married 10 years, spent all that money on the honeymoon, and never one time been on a marriage retreat. I'm trying to get you to see that if you want to get better, I got to be brought somewhere that can make me better. I got to get around. If I want money, I need to be brought to some folk with money. If I want to know how to pray, I need to be brought to somebody that knows how to pray. If I want to worship, I need to be brought to somebody that knows how to worship. I got to get out of where I am and be brought to a different place. That's one of the challenges, y'all. Everybody shout exposure. Do you know how powerful exposure is? Yo, one of the biggest issue with our young people is not that they are not able. It is not that they're not capable. It is not that they're not wonderful. It is not that don't have great capacity. It's they don't know what they can do and they don't know what they can be because they ain't been. I'm gonna get in trouble around, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that. See, it's important. I may not be the best preacher around, but at least when you bring them to church, they see black men in suits and with degrees, and they start recognizing that people that look like them can hold a microphone and have power and influence. And so, but if every time I take them somewhere, their doctor look different, their nurse look different, their teacher look different, the accountant looks different. You got a daughter, you better find you a woman doctor and show your daughter you can be that if you want to be that. I got to get in an environment to be cultivated, Mel. An environment where I know it's possible. Can I kill little thinking? Just because you have never seen it don't mean God can't do it. Just because you ain't never been around it does not mean God is not able. Too many of... I was just sharing this, and y'all have heard me tell this story, but I'm going to tell it again. I was just sharing this with a group of people. I don't remember where I was, but I was with a group of people somewhere, and I told them when I became a father at 21 years old. You know, you heard the story of I'm victim of domestic violence and I've been homeless. Well, you had a pastor that's had a child out of wedlock, raised a child as a single dad. And so we ain't here judging you. 21 years old, I'm a dad. I got to work, take care of my son. Wound up working for this lady, took a great liking in me. She was a Jewish lady. Her name was Letty Piper. My son was about 2 years old, taking him to the nursery at the school, at the job I had. She said, James, I like you. She said, can I help you raise your son a little better? Because every time I brought him in, 2 years old, I'm broke, but he got on new Timbs. I don't have no help in here. All this stuff matching, but I barely can put gas in the car. She said, let me help you raise your child a little bit better. She said, you know the difference between black people and Jewish people? I said, no, lady, what's the difference? She said, Jewish people save their money and get their children experiences. And black people use their money to give their children things. And if I had any advice for you, save your money. He gonna grow out of the Timbs. He gonna grow out of the Air Jordans, but he won't grow out of Disney World. He won't grow out of being to another state. He won't grow out of the mountain. He won't grow out of the beach. He gotta cultivate something. He can't get better unless they bring him somewhere different. Are y'all hearing me? And that's one of the problems, y'all. Y'all know I'm struggling with telling the truth right now, right? But I'm gonna tell the truth anyway. Can I tell you the single hardest part about pastoring Word Tabernacle? Is pastoring the folk that ain't never left Rocky Mountain. And I ain't trying to offend nobody, but folk that been somewhere else recognize a church can buy a Home Depot and do great things for God. But if I ain't never been exposed to nothing and I ain't never seen nothing, I don't know what's possible. Whew. My folk that's been in Dallas, my folk that used to have E.K. Bailey as the pastor, my folk that's been all over the world, let's buy it, pastor. Let's do it. I've seen that happen before. Y'all, if you don't hear me say nothing else, we need to cultivate ourselves to a better place. Whew. There's a second thing in the text. I'm going to go past all them notes. Everybody say cultivation. I need you to hear me. I'm not here making nobody feel bad or judging you. My daddy would save money. We didn't have a car, Philadelphia. And he would put us on the train and the bus. And we get on the bus and we go probably 45 minutes riding on the bus on a Friday afternoon, Friday night, to get to some restaurant that had real plates, that had a dinner fork and a salad fork. I had nobody helping me. That's got a regular spoon and a soup spoon. That's got a wine glass and a regular glass. So he could show me. He would smack me on my forehead when my mother got up from the table to have to go to the bathroom when I didn't get up to grab her chair. And all I'm trying to get you to see, y'all, that when we cultivate ourselves and we put ourselves in a different environment, when you get around a man that opens up the car door for his wife, you'll stop opening it up for yourself. When I get around They brought him to Jesus. They bring him into an environment to cultivate him, to get him what he needs. And I know this is not your family church. Well, some of us it is now. But sometimes I got to get in a different place to be cultivated so that God's power and authority can be released in my life. Let me say a second thing. Second thing this text teaches us, I don't just need cultivation, I need a coalition. You need somebody that can bring you when you can't bring yourself. My God, I don't know who I'm preaching to. You need some friends who see something better in you. And why? Because you do know you have some friends that would have known Jesus was in town and let you stay home. You do have some friends that can tell you what book you need to read to get better, but they won't tell you about it. You do have some folks that's been to a nice restaurant that you would enjoy, but they don't want you to have the experience they had. You don't need them kind of friends. You need the kind of friends that when you're down and out, your friends grab you and take you along and get you to where you need to be. Is there anybody in church or on East City campus that can thank God for your coalition, for my team, for my circle, for my friends, for my folk that can help get me to a better place? Have you ever stopped to think that maybe the reason you still stuck is because you got the wrong crew? Can I tell you about this coalition? Here's this coalition, y'all. This coalition, first of all, has connection. Y'all, don't miss it in the text. Jesus sees not the lame man's faith, not the paralytic's faith. The Bible says when Jesus saw their faith, who is there? There is not the paralytic. There are the people that brought the paralytic. See, you need people in your coalition that got faith of what God can do for you, even when you don't have your own faith. I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and preach this. Ryan, I would dare say you playing not because you had faith, but because your mama had faith. I would argue that some of us are where we are when we didn't even have faith in what we could be or what we could do. We had somebody in our circle and somebody around us that had a connection with God that believed there was something better in me. Woo, God. I need friends with a connection. I don't need friends, Viola, that only call me when they want me to give them a word. I don't need friends that the only time you hear from them is when they need to be prayed for. I need the kind of friends that when I'm not praying for myself, they ring the phone and say, I know you ain't praying for you, but I'm praying for you. Let me put this prayer on you right now. When I show up in church and I can't clap my hands because of what I got on me, I got some friends that's clapping, not because of what God did for them, but what they want God to do for me. I need a coalition of folk, y'all. I need a coalition of folk that's got connection. But it's not just that. I need a coalition, Larry, of folk that can carry my weight when I can't. Woo-hoo. Y'all, can y'all handle where I'm going with this? I need men that see value in another man, and that man is worth rescuing. Y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and minister. Had y'all responded better, I would have just let it go. See, we live in a culture. We spend all money and time on next generation, and that has merit. We spend time and money and energy on women's ministry, and that has merit. But can I tell you, we need to pump the brakes. And we need to recognize that if we don't start rescuing some men, all of our houses are in trouble. All of our communities are in trouble. All of our children are in trouble. The ones who need rescuing are my... Can I help? Y'all, church only need a strong ministry to children largely because so many homes are lacking men. I ain't scared of y'all. I'm willing to say, how many of y'all like me, you grow up in a church that didn't have a nursery, but it had daddy looking like he gonna jump down your throat if you act like you ain't want to do right. It had a mama sitting in the choir loft putting an eye on you. I wish you would move. I wish you would act up. I wish you would. And you could have a whole section full of kids and don't hear nothing. Tell your neighbor, we got to rescue some men. 3 out of 4 retarded children are males. 75% of suicide victims are men. Men are 25% more likely to be placed in a mental hospital. 90% of violent crimes are committed by men. 95% of incest is committed by men. Men have a 360% higher arrest rate. If we just go and rescue some men, our society can be changed. Woo! God. Jesus sees the faith of 4 men who build a coalition, who are connected in faith, who are able to carry the weight of this man until he's able to carry his own weight. There's a third thing I see in this connect these men, though. This coalition also, I believe, is cheering. Everybody say cheering. Is cheering for this man. Can I tell you what you need? You need some folk that when you start winning, they don't get jealous. They don't get envious. See, these men, they don't have the wrong attitude. They don't have this attitude, well, that joker gets saved, he might take my woman. He get on his feet, he might take my job. If he finally get right, he might take my stuff. We got to have a mindset, y'all, that God, I want to see every man, every woman, every child around me living up to their full potential, being exactly who and what and God has called them to be. We need some folk that when we are, I got to minister this, y'all. We are spending too much energy damning and damaging each other, then we are helping each other to stand on our feet to be able to win. The same energy we spend working on somebody's downfall is the same energy we could spend helping them to be able to succeed and prosper and do well. We need some folk that when we get across the finish line and we get the promotion and we buy the new house, they are cheering for us. They are celebrating. They're not hating on you. They show up at your housewarming. They show up around you. We need a coalition that's cheering for us. Y'all gonna be shocked by this. Can y'all handle me spending the rest of the year just pouring my heart and telling y'all the truth? We have folk leave word because we built this building. As long as we were in the little room, they were fine. But some can't stomach the fact that while they were betting against us, they got to look at me stand on a big stage and a microphone in my hand, and instead of hating on people because they got to where they are, why don't you celebrate the fact that if God can help them get there, God can help me get there. And God is God enough that he don't have to hold some of us back. We need to help folk win. We need to help folks succeed. It ain't good enough that your child is a straight A student. What about your child's friend? Okay, whoop-de-doo, your child got a scholarship. What about somebody else's child? I need a coalition to cheer for us. This man of God's power and authority is going to be released. I'm out of time. There's got to be a coalition. If God's power and authority is going to be released, there's got to be cultivation. Now this point is the best part of the sermon. If God's authority and power over everything, Kirby, is going to be released, there has to be confrontation. I got to go quick. Pay attention, y'all, because this is only going to be for A students. They bring the man to Jesus so so that he can be healed from his sickness. This man has spent years as a paralytic. Stay close. This man has so many felt needs. This man, because of his disability, is a social outcast. This man is living in a society with no mandatory building codes to help him with his wheelchair. This man has no special care center for him to live in. This man is not offered any group therapy. This man has real felt needs. He is lonely. He is helpless. He is hurting. And not only does he have real felt needs, he has real physical needs. He can't work. He can't stand. He can't care for himself. Here, Jesus comes to the rescue. In Jesus coming to the rescue, you would think in his sympathy for the man on the mat, he would deal with his physical and felt needs. I told you y'all couldn't handle where I'm going. You would think when Jesus sees that this man can barely raise his head, he would immediately cure him. Pay attention to the Bible. Jesus does not first say, he does not first say to him, rise, pick up your bed, and go home. Jesus first says to him, your sins are forgiven you. Because Jesus recognized his felt needs weren't the most important need he had. Jesus recognized what you need most is not for me to help you get up and deal with how sorry you feel for yourself. What you need most right now is for me to deal with your real need. And can I tell you the confrontation that needs to exist in all of our lives? I gotta stop spending so much time dealing with my felt needs and ignoring my real needs. Well, I just need a job where folk appreciate me. That's a felt need. You got bills to pay. Your real need is you need money. Y'all not talking to me. See, the problem with society is that we run around, meet my need, make me feel good. Your felt need is I like the music. I need to like the music when I come to church. That's a felt need. Your real need is you need to get close to Jesus. That's your real. Folk don't leave your life and leave church because their real needs aren't met. They leave because they got felt needs. Jesus ain't in the felt need business. He in the real need business. And the biggest need in my life is to not go to hell. The biggest need in my life is to be able to walk straight. The biggest need in my life is to be in communion with a loving God. I'm almost done, y'all. See, can I tell you why there's not authority breaking loose in our lives? It's because there is a war going on between our real needs and our felt needs. You feel like you need a miracle. Your real need is you need to get a stronger spiritual relationship. Preach, Pastor Gailliard. You feel like you need more money. The real need is you need to learn how to be generous. You feel like you should be in leadership. The real need is you got to learn how to submit to somebody. You feel like we need to respond to all your complaints. The real need is you need to focus on your own heart and your own work ethic. We got a war going on between our real needs and our felt needs. So I'm sorry we ain't come up here and we ain't hurt your little feelings. But we don't come to church for people to appease our feelings. We come to church so we can get stronger in our inner man. Excuse me if we didn't tickle your ear today. Sometimes you got to stomp on some toes, because the real need is I need to get stronger. The real need is I need to get closer. The real need is not what I'm feeling, but what's really going on in my life. Your real need ain't you need no man. You feel like you need a man. Your real need is learning how to love you while it's just you. You have help in here. I'm done. Son, your sins are forgiven. Let me deal with what you really need. Because if I heal you, it's still temporary. And you're going to wind up spending eternity with your feelings in hell. But if I forgive you, you're going to spend eternity with your soul being right. And I know. I had this good closing where I was going to hoop and everything today. Come back next Sunday. I know. You think church is about, I need to make sure there's a perfect place for my child. I need to make sure the nursery's real clean. And I need to make sure of this. And I need to make sure of this. All those are felt needs. And I'm not even suggesting that there are not legitimacy, so don't email me. There is legitimacy to felt needs. It is not a legitimacy issue. It is a priority issue. Your most important need for your child is not whether or not we babysit them. It's whether or not they get into a loving relationship with the God who made them. And so there's this war going on. But Jesus confronts the real issue. All these years, I'm paralyzed. And the first thing out of your mouth is, son, your sins are forgiven? Yeah, because that's your need. Can y'all handle where I'm about to go with this thing? This is what I need y'all to get. Did you ever stop to think the reason he was paralyzed to begin with is because he had a cycle of sin that he needed to deal with? See, don't you know sometimes your sins will paralyze you? That's why you come to church and you can't lift your hands, because your sin will shut your mouth. Sin will keep you from smiling. But if you get a forgiveness in you and you get right with God, is there anybody in church that got a new leap and a new shout because of the things that used to hold me back ain't holding me back no more? Trishonda, I'm not always jumping and clapping, robbing, because God is so good. Sometimes I'm jumping and clapping because I'm not the sinner I used to be. Y'all can't handle this, but sometimes I'm jumping and shouting because I wasn't in the wrong place last night. Y'all not talking. Sometimes I'm clapping because I didn't wake up with a hangover. Sometimes I'm clapping because ain't no weed on my breath, because I don't smell like cigarettes. Your sin will paralyze you. So, God has the power, authority over all of it.